Path of Night is an actual play Vampire the Masquerade podcast set in the world of darkness. We're all friends, we're here to have fun, but our story can include graphic violence, drug use, sexual content, and other mature themes. Content warnings can be found in the show notes. We've talked at our table about safety, comfort, and consent, both as players and storytellers. We know what to expect. We're all excited to be here, and we want you to feel the same. So listener discretion is advised. Now, let's walk the Path of Night.
Last time, on the Path of Night, the Coterie fought Vito one final time. Johnny, bolstered by mysterious magic, struck him down, only for the corpse to take form as a terrifying dragon. Britta used enchantments Reese gave her to weaken it, but unknowingly paved the way for Reese's plot to kill Eden to unfold. Ira made the tough call to save the last daughter of Eve and revealed himself as an Aster. The Talmahera arrived and assisted Miles as he beat back the waves of flesh monsters. When Wynn was swallowed by the dragon, Tanakh slowed time. And together, the Coterie managed to take down the Shard of the Eldest and survive. All that's left now is a mass of burning flesh as the fire begins to consume the chantry. The systems that normally would contain the fire are long exhausted at this point, and it's just a matter of time before this subterranean haven is destroyed completely by the fires. The group of you, those of you who can move better than others, start to gather up and survey just how bad things have gotten.
Britta, in particular, is scrambling back from the site of the explosion, and eyes wide at the idea of fire, she looks at the group. There's so much that's flammable in here, we really gotta go.
So Wynn, effectively standing very close to the center of the explosion, when she came out, the acid burned until it burned into fire, and she is effectively naked. Not effectively, she's actually naked. Clothes having been burned off, hair, eyebrows, eyelashes. But she doesn't have a scratch on her. That said, she has just been inside a dragon, her eyes are very wide, and she is kind of looking around to quick survey the rest of the group. And when Britta speaks, she starts taking a visual inventory of who can walk and who's going to need help.
She can see that Britta's up with Ira having used that magic to take her away from the blast. So the two of them likely look like they can walk and help people out.
Ira looks hurt from earlier in the night with the flesh crafters and the chainsaw. He can walk, but he is staring at the fire and the carnage and everything just happened with shell-shocked eyes, and still has that hint of some form of internal panic that Wynn had caught earlier, but gives a nod and looks around. And we need to leave.
Johnny is a smoking ruin of how he walked into this fight. His jeans are a tattered mess, having been splattered with acid and burned off. A good portion of him is just a knotted mess of burned flesh. The remaining hair on his head is hanging in scraggly mess. His whole upper body is just spattered with bits of acid and laced with burn marks. And he kind of just looks up at you guys through lidded eyes and kind of just nods. His chainsaw has sputtered out since the explosion, and he kind of just looks at it, and the acid is even starting to kind of eat away at that, and it looks like the actual chain is starting to fall off the blade of the thing. So he just kind of tosses it aside and starts kind of limping over to get somebody's shoulder to help him start moving out of here.
Miles had been fairly close to the explosion at the time and been moving to help Britta with the escape for Wynn. So he had ended up on his back away from the explosion, just also smoking, but getting up. He's not terrible in terms of overall. Like, his clothes are ruined, his glasses are gone, the hair is a mess, but for the most part, he seems fine. He just haggard, tired, just slow to move, getting up, utilizing the katana to like lever himself up and start moving towards the rest of everyone else, kind of quickly scanning the area, but just getting away from the fire is like number one concern, and then two is seeing where everybody else is at.
Wynn, when she sees Johnny beaten down and haggard and Miles knocked about and his glasses missing, she goes over and she doesn't fireman carry Johnny, but she definitely takes the lion's share of his weight onto her shoulders. And then she helps him over towards Miles because she knows he's not going to be able to see super well without his glasses. And just kind of like puts his hand on her shoulder so he can follow and lean if he needs to. And she kind of looks at Britta and Ira. Okay, fastest way out of here.
Britta is just keeping a stranglehold on the idea of getting out. That's the thing that's making her functional right now. And she's heightening her vision to see if she can spot Miles's glasses. Lex, No?
No.
Absolutely not. And as
You see the part of a frame with a big dragon foot having smashed it into the ground.
The heat alone of this room, no, it's gone.
there's something glinting in all the viscera, and Britta thinks it might be some of the glasses. She's not, with a shudder, she's not willing to further investigate and realizes that they're lost.
Ira, can you lead us out of here?
Ira looks at Wynn, then does one last check over his shoulder to make sure that the thing he promised to do got done and Eden is actually okay. Wynn, again, there's that look specifically when he looks at Eden that something is wrong. Not in the same way where he was looking like, oh my god, she's a demon, but
yeah.
He sees she's okay, pulls his coat off, the tattered remains of his coat, but still mostly functional. And as the nude sheriff is helping the mostly nude seneschal, just kind of whips it around her shoulders as of some form of protection against the heat. Let's go this way.
Yep. And the expression on Wynn's face, she's sort of like mom has come home from work and found that the kid she left in charge has had a breakdown and we have to pick up a lot of pieces all at once, but she's not willing to let any one of those drop. So she's taking care of the physical needs of Johnny and Miles, but she is not forgetting to give looks of compassion to Britta for understanding that this is likely the end, ? Of a very, very traumatic night.
Wynn will find that when she tries to shift those looks of compassion over to Britta, that Britta is dodging them. And it seems either subconscious or purposeful, but for whatever reason, something in Britta doesn't want to let that in. She is looking to Ira to see the way out. She's going over to Eden to make sure that someone's with the kid, someone's guarding her. She's actually kind of specifically also trying to not look at either one of you, but she does kind of like eye contact away, ask, I don't know if one of you could fit in the trench coat or something if you want close.
The only reason I would want to stop for them would be so we can avoid making an incident when we get out to the road, but honestly, let's get out of here first. And she also has spared a look for Ira. Like, she sees he has also been through something, though it's decidedly different from Britta's.
Johnny kind of cracks his best at a smile, and it becomes obvious as he kind of lazily looks at you that one of his eyes looks like it's not working at this point. No, these are Levi's 501s. They'll survive anything.
Britta tries to laugh. It comes out a little strangled, but she makes an attempt. It's not really working.
His gaze slowly kind of swings over to Ira. Did you do something to me?
Let's get outside.
And when...
Because whatever it is, I think is wearing off, and I feel like shit.
Ira nods, and as Johnny says that, Ira starts taking some steps to get out of here and away from the fire, and whatever magic or the trauma of this event just like breaking through his demeanor or what, like he's...
Yeah, because wound penalties are starting to kick in.
They are kicking back in for Ira as well.
Yeah.
Yes.
Oh, man.
Yep. Wynn will also do a quick look around and see if Romeo is still here.
Romeo is not present.
Wynn doesn't like that, but also doesn't think that mentioning it is going to be helpful to anyone at this moment, and so just follows Ira.
This way. I don't know if the I don't know if the wards will still try and keep you down here, but stay close.
I'll try and help point out the way where I can.
Follow me. And Ira, remembering that this place, as described by Reese, is intended more to keep things in than keep them out, is going to try and lead everyone as quickly as possible to the surface without letting any of the remaining wards, if any of them are even still in place, lead anyone astray.
So the damage to the property, whether it be in the form of the fungus, flesh, acidic monsters, or fire, has largely left the wards in shambles. So making the way out is actually pretty easy. The only thing that really kind of does seem problematic is when you guys get far enough, you come to the initial entrance where the door had been broken. That door has sustained enough damage being torn off its hinge that you can't simply just close it.
Ira, is this brute strength or finesse?
Ira looks at it, nods. This is more of a brute strength. If we can shove it into place, we can help.
She leads Miles to the wall for him to lean on, does the same for Johnny. She will spend blood to bring it back up to 6.
Okay.
And Wynn will just start pushing.
This is going to wear off soon. Anyways, do you want a hand?
Mm-hmm. Yes, I do.
Ira, seeing Wynn, I mean, this is a massive vault door, and seeing Wynn trying to help, Ira will use the very last of the excess blood before it all goes away anyways to pump himself up to an 18 strength.
Jesus.
To just help her lift with, like, you can see it, like, his strength is starting to give out. Whatever magic allowed him to pull off these, like, feats of blood potency is faltering. But with the last of it, we'll try and help Wynn get things into place.
Johnny, can you please help? Britta was not expecting Ira to be the guy stepping up to help with issues of strength.
Between Ira and Wynn spending the last of their reserves here, can we sort of put this big, stupid vault door into place?
You guys have sufficient strength, and you can press it up to the doorway, but again, nothing's holding it in place.
Okay.
I could try and see if I could relock it, but...
While they're messing around with the door, Johnny is kind of slumped down next to Miles. He kind of looks over and trying to put on a brave face and smile. Is this how every night of your new domain's gonna be, your grace?
Miles takes a minute and kind of comes back from wherever his mind had been, just kind of refocuses back in acknowledgement of the words and takes a deep breath. I'd rather hope not. This sucked. I'd rather not never do that again.
Yeah. Correct me if I'm wrong. That was a fucking dragon, right?
I have no idea. It is beyond anything I've ever seen or heard of. It was a terrible thing, and I hope this is not how the nights keep going. Maybe it's the last of the terrible things.
No, this was just a fragment, right?
Yeah.
Like these fucking Tremere bastards found a fragment and brought it down here. Put it into Vito, or I don't know how this works, but...
I think the fragment found Vito.
What the fuck is in New York, Miles?
Worse.
Wynn takes a minute once she doesn't have the guys on either side and slips her arms into Ira's coat and buttons it real quick. Just, we're going to be going out in public. I really don't want to get pulled over for public nudity right now, so let's just keep it going.
Ira looks over at Wynn as they're, like, holding the door in place. Sheriff, you've survived a lot tonight. I think I know of a way to seal this door so no one goes in or out, but I hate to ask it of you because I'm going to need help bracing it.
Mm-hmm. She kind of grunts as she's putting her shoulder into the door to try and keep it from falling, keep it in an equilibrium, I guess would be the word.
Britta, following the cue, just leans, trying to add what little she can for weight and strength to Wynn's hold.
Ira looks at Britta and then looks back at Wynn. I'm going to light this door up.
Oh. And Britta kind of separates a little bit from the door, looking at Ira for, so we'll need to ground ourselves if we brace it?
If you can ground her, And he gives sort of like an appreciative nod of like, look, it pains me to say this maybe, but you're a gangrel. If I can't ground properly, can you still help me hold the door?
Well, Britta has a good understanding of science. Is there something that in this room I could use to help Wynn be grounded against electricity?
The area that you're in is predominantly stone, kind of mason work. Mm-hmm. There really isn't anything even loose around this save for the door itself. It's a very cleared out area. As far as bracing yourself, there really isn't a ton of options.
In that case, Britta will shed her trench coat and hand it to Wynn, indicating that she could put it between her hands and the door. Use it as a bit of a shield, a bit of a glove, that kind of idea.
When Britta offers her coat, Wynn just like, nah, I think I got this.
You sure?
It's not like you're going to yell at me if I get it wrong.
Britta doesn't even try to get a laugh for Wynn. Her eyes are just big and she's surveying the damage that the gangrel has gone through.
There's none.
You do seem to be all right. So she will step back and try to hand the trench coat off to Johnny, as he is lacking in clothes too.
Johnny takes the trench coat, kind of looks at it with an eyebrow raised, and sets it down next to him.
I know you said your Levi's are fine, but I don't know.
Offering coats is a proud tradition in this coterie. Anyway, let's go. Light me up.
Well, I'm going to try not to. And Lex,
I believe in you.
I am going to use Zeus's Fury through Path 11 Bolt to try and arc weld this door in place.
Give me Dex crafts.
I am going to spend one of Ira's willpower on this. He really is trying not to hurt the sheriff. 3 successes.
All right, with 3 successes, you're able to seal the door, and it looks like this is the end. At this point, it's just the walk to wherever it is that you're going before the sun comes to claim you.
How soon does that look like it's going to be?
You're already starting to feel it.
Britta picks her trench coat back up after Johnny just kind of gives it a sour look, and she shuffles back into it and says, Miles, can I, actually, never mind. Well,
Where are we going, guys?
Well, that's sort of part of it. I was gonna ask if you were okay with me and Eden being in a spare room or something, but I also guess, And her eyes are like pointed completely towards the ground when she says, I think I need to ask for hospitality, right?
We can handle that later. I guess this is a good time as any. I have a new place prepared. I was going to do a little ceremony and a kind of a party thing, but I guess this is as good as any time. I think we're running out of other places to stay.
We're rapidly running out of other options.
Yeah, my haven's a little bit complicated at the moment.
Oh, Jesus Christ, it is. Okay, how are we getting there? Is it close enough to walk, or do we need to call a car?
We have a car here. We arrived in a car.
It's been a long night, man.
Okay, it's fine.
Ira is standing kind of off to the side now that the coterie is talking about, like, hey, let's go to our, like, Miles's new place. And the last of the excess blood, now that his magic is wearing off, is just leaking out of his body. And he looks at the prince. Your Grace, is there a place, if I could beg your hospitality, for me to stay that is not under the direct control of the Regent and Clan Tremere?
Wynn kind of gives him a look, and that look she caught him making earlier makes a little more sense.
Britta's wide-eyed as well. It doesn't seem to quite match up with what she was expecting.
Miles looks him over, sees like the strength essentially just leaking out of him at this point.
Physically leaking out of his
him.
body.
You've done a lot tonight for us, for the domain, and I'm sure there's more to tell. So do not make me regret trusting you.
The rules of hospitality are old, Your Grace, and yours to rescind at any time. So long as it is offered to me, I will abide by the rules of a guest.
You also need to swear to me to not reveal the location.
After tonight, I had assumed that you may want to engage in some quid pro quo.
What?
An easy price to pay.
Excellent.
For safety.
This for that. Wynn says, looking at Britta, who seemed a little lost.
No,
we'll
sorry,
start-
it wasn't the expression. It was something else.
We'll start being a good guest by giving me a hand up here, Power Company.
Ira extends a hand to Johnny.
Johnny grabs it, lifts himself up. He could feel that Johnny's strength is still very much with him.
Ira's is not. Ira actually has to brace a little bit to help Johnny up from the ground.
He levels his one good eye at Ira. Oh, some pretty neat trick there, you holding up the door. He kind of looks down at his arms. I'm going to let this one slide because I'm in such rough shape. But don't forget, I'm the strong guy around here.
Okay, tough guy, let's go.
I saw you in the basement. I don't think any of us could forget.
Johnny is kind of looks towards where Wynn is, not really being able to locate where she is, being that he can't see out of that one eye, and kind of smiles back at her and nods along, and then puts his weight onto Ira and goes, all right, help get me out of here.
And Ira tries his best to follow, at this point, Miles, because he seems to know where we're going.
Miles, can you see well enough?
Yeah, it's not great, but I'm not blind.
All right, give me a vague direction.
What's your prescription, Your Grace? And Ira kind of adjusts his own glasses on his face.
It's fine. I just can't do this for long periods of time.
Well, I mean, I think the question is, can you drive?
Yes, I can drive.
All right.
Let's go.
The group of you leave. Miles, can I have a Dex plus drive at +1 difficulty?
What kind of car did he bring?
This one's just an SUV.
Okay.
Yeah, we showed up in the Chevy, right?
Actually, I think we're in an ugly black straight SUV because I didn't want us to be noticed coming
Such growth from season 1.
When we get to the car, Wynn will kind of discreetly go on the driver's side passenger door, but look over at Miles and be like, do you want to drive or do you want me to drive?
I almost want
gonna
Johnny
drive.
to backseat drive, and I'm not sure if that should be a penalty or a bonus.
That'll be 3 successes.
Wynn will actually climb in the trunk space of the SUV so Britta and Ira and Eden can all have seatbelts.
Wynn, that doesn't really seem like you have to do that. I can just float.
Miles, tell them where they go.
So we start driving towards the nicer area of New Haven, and we start getting into a place with large-scale mansions, and there's a bunch of shrubs and whatnot, and we come upon a gate, and he ends up putting in a code and driving them down into a house that's set back, but seems to look onto East Rock Park. It seems to be secluded and away from the street, and in the back you can see, partially as we drive in, a pool back there. And it seems to be like a long 1-story house. And it's kind of a little bit eccentric in some ways versus Miles' previous house. It's very warm in here. There's wood flooring all over the place that's polished really well. And it's just, there's long, odd-shaped rooms.
Wait a minute, it's 1 story?
It's essentially 1
So
story.
is it like a weird mid-century modern kind of place?
Yeah.
Oh, man.
There is a second floor that goes underground that's almost as large as the first floor.
Please tell me there's like a Tory gate somewhere on the property.
I hadn't thought about it. I don't think originally it might have, but it's a possibility.
Or maybe not that ostentatious,
Yeah.
but there's definitely a sand garden.
A sand and rock garden somewhere. Yeah. And there's a number of rooms that kind of come off. There's a huge living room that kind of overlooks into the downstairs a little bit from there. That seems to be like another rec room. And it's like a weird combination of kind of an open floor plan, but like with all the weird curves and stuff like that, no long sight lines exist.
Before we touch anything, I think we really need to get out of our clothes and get rid of them. And
Yeah, there's a pool house that's probably best for all of that.
if we can burn them later or just...
We can take turns and get situated, but sun's coming up soon, so...
Might be better to dissolve them in acid.
I can just get rid of them.
That also works.
You have your pick of rooms, but I think some will be more calling to others than some. I've been working on this for a little while.
Thank you, Miles.
You've been working on this? This isn't like some place that you lifted off the previous prince?
Oh, no, I didn't want anything attached to him.
Britta stares at her feet and her posture goes a little more tight at that mention.
I found a pretty good property, made a reasonable offer, and since then I've been slowly but surely moving some ghouls and stuff that live on the property, and this is completely disconnected from anything else that we have. After everybody's essentially changed and whatnot, it's like going through and demonstrating rooms, and there's accoutrements and stuff that you guys particularly fit you. And then he's trouble. He's like, Marcos, can you bring me another pair of glasses? This is getting troublesome. Just like out of hand without even thinking about it. And kind of waits for a few and just stops and just kind of goes on after a few seconds.
When she hears him say it, she jars a little bit.
Johnny gives her a look like, don't say anything. Just let it pass.
I can go get them.
I'm heading towards my room anyways. It'll be fine. There's a guest bedroom here, Ira. I don't have anything set up for you in particular, so... But I think we have a lot to digest, and we can talk about it tomorrow night.
Do you have a room or maybe food for Eden?
There is some food, and he looks over at Eden and just pulls out a credit card. Order some pizza, whatnot. Try to keep it discreet.
She gives like a quick nod. Do you want anything?
I can't eat food.
Who's Marcos?
An old friend.
Okay. She kind of looks among the group and...
Wynn kind of gives a look like, don't worry about it.
Yeah, she quietly excuses herself.
Ira looks at Miles when he offers the room after the exchange with Eden, just nods. And there's just like deep weariness and genuine gratitude. And he just sighs and goes, "Thank you, Your Grace, all of you for your..." And he almost says a different word and then says, "hospitality," and goes to go into the room that Miles showed to him.
Ira, wait a second.
Yes, Seneschal.
You got any smokes left?
He pats his pockets, pulls out his pack of Morleys.
Johnny snatches it, pulls out a Morley, hands it to Ira, and then walks off to his room with the rest of the pack.
Ira just stares at Johnny for a second and then tucks the fucking cigarette behind his ear, walks into the room, and just closes the door.
Wynn will take off Ira's coat and hang it on his doorknob and look to Miles. I'm assuming I'm downstairs?
Yeah, I felt you and Neil might be more comfortable below ground level.
Good instinct. Do you need anything before I go?
No, I'm going to go visit our little oblivion for a while.
I think you earned it.
See you tomorrow.
See you guys.
Britta, do you want to come down to my room?
No, I just want to... There's so much that we have to do tomorrow. I just want to go to bed.
Okay. Good night. I'm glad you're safe.
Thanks for coming to get me.
You know it. And Wynn kind of pads down the stairs on her bare feet.
As you each go your ways, it isn't long before the sun takes you, and you sleep. Neil. You come to. It is night, but there is something wrong. You can smell and hear the crashing waves. The clouds overhead are this distorted shape, shades of green, gray, and dark blues hue and alter this massive storm that hangs overhead. The downpour is deafening. Arcs of lightning streak across the sky. And it is through the illumination of this lightning that you see it. The blood in your body recoils with fright. The beast within you is roused, recognizing this canine of unspeakable power, feeling its hunger, bearing witness to the way that reality bends to its will. A name echoes through you. Ravana. The edges of your vision bleed like watercolors. You know you are not here, but it doesn't make you feel much safer. And you can feel every oracle, every person whose mind is open to the impending suffering of what awaits. You feel them all hopelessly watching on as Ravana brings forth the beginning of the end. But he does not go unchallenged. You know that there are people there, people who understand the stakes and have come to challenge this would-be demon emperor. Battling him in the skies, you see 3 figures. It is hard to comprehend their forms because while they are like kindred, they are something else, and they fight Ravana to the best of their ability. And on the ground, you see desperate lupines struggling against what feels inevitable. And for a moment, you swear that this mad god, this wassailed monster, lost to the power of its own insatiable beast. For a moment, it seems as though it turns its attention to you. And then there is the flash of suns burning in the sky. And you wake up. You wake up with firm, meaty, muscular hands holding you and pinning you down as your frenzy subsides. And when you look up, when you open your eyes and they adjust just enough for you to see your surroundings, you see the familiar face of Weathers stoically holding you in place. Stay still.
Neil can feel his body and his muscles like sort of tense and angry, but when Weathers yells at him, he just instinctively stays still, goes quiet, and just looks up with subsiding panic and rising confusion. Weathers, what's going on? Where am I? Where is he? Is he?
Weathers, I think it's okay. You can let him go. You hear Amara's voice. The leader of the Anarchs who you haven't heard from in quite some time. What's going on? What happened? Did you see it? And Neil looks away from them and then immediately straight up at the sky, or tries to. So as Weathers backs off, Amara moves to actually help you up, and you see around you that you are in a gorgeous penthouse, and there is a vast library here. A lot of the books are old, well cared for. They are worn and well read. And as you look out, you see the balcony, and staked on the balcony, crumpled to the ground, probably by Weathers, you see Kabir. And when you look past Kabir, out to the sky, you can see the New York skyline. And you find yourself, as you rise to your feet, drawn to that balcony. And along the New York skyline, down below, your incredible senses make you keenly aware that so many people are looking up at the night sky. And there it is, you find it, without any need for heightened senses. Bare and invisible to even the naked eye is a baleful red star.
The last thing that Neil remembers is running from his sire, running from a future in which he is forced to become a Diablerist, to walk the path of blood. And the last time he was in a New York penthouse looking out over the skyline was when a member of the Web of Knives, who he later found out was his sire, assaulted him. And so that initial instinct is just to look around, to heighten his senses, to make sure that they are alone, that they are safe, even knowing that against his sire, looking is almost futile. But as soon as he becomes aware of that collective awareness of the sky and looks up to see with the naked eye the red star that he saw with Nyx and Britta on the rooftop not really that long ago, he freezes and then looks back over his shoulder at Weathers and Amara, sparing a quick glance for Kabir, and just says, "What the hell's going on? What's Can you see that? You can see that.
Amara gives a solemn nod. I see it, Neil.
It's been there for a while, but how come everyone
Hold
can see it?
Who is Ravana?
The storm in the east, the would-be demon king, the power on such a level that I can barely comprehend it, just ravening hunger.
There is a voice you don't recognize that speaks up as someone enters the space behind some of the very tall bookshelves that block a line of sight in the area. And you see a woman that is actually right around Britta's height and build. The thing that really catches your attention, though, is that she wears this scarf, this fabric, around her mouth, covering the lower half of her face. She has chestnut, long hair, green eyes, and when she walks and speaks, it is with purpose. Whoever she is powerful, and she says to you, among the Sabbat, it is called an antediluvian, a monster from before the deluge, before the wrath of God. And she simply strides into the sitting space and has herself a seat. What did you see?
I saw the storm, the colors, reality itself bleeding at the edges, and I saw this thing, I saw Ravana. I saw the bodhisattva in the sky that tried to oppose it. I saw the lupines on the ground fighting against the end of all hope. And I saw it see me. And then I saw the suns in the sky, turning their wrath directly towards the earth upon which it strode.
She hides it well, but you can sense that what you're describing gives her unease. Well, at any rate, I have the tome.
Tome?
Amara and Weathers kind of both give you a quick sideways glance.
Neil kind of shrinks back into himself under, questioning and or judgmental gazes.
Amara kind of takes that as a little bit of a cue that you might be forgetting something. And rather than draw too much attention to it, she stands next to you and says, Neil, we are here for a bit of a trade. There's a buyer who is willing to fund defenses against the coming Sabbat invasion, help the Anarchs give us a chance at survival in exchange for a tome.
Okay.
All we're doing here is we're just picking up a book. We head back, we provide it to the buyer, and that's it. Now, Catherine, she gestures to the woman. She has been kind enough to host us for a few more nights, and it has been suggested by Weathers that you help us gather some information on what's going on here among the Sabbat.
What?
I know it's dangerous, but you have a skill set that makes you perhaps uniquely capable of getting information that we will need in order to survive.
Okay. It can't be worse than the last couple of times I picked up a book.
You don't have to pick up the book.
Yeah, yeah, okay.
But I do need you to get information on the packs that are mobilizing. I need you to find out whatever it is that's got them stalled at the moment. And for Catherine, I need you to find whatever you can about a man named Cardinal Polonia.
Sure. Okay. We're in New York, right? We're
in New York.
He very clearly looked out the window, but he's still, double checking.
Weathers and I are going to keep an eye on your body.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that makes a lot more sense. Yeah, sure. Okay. That's probably
between three
safer.
Bruja, she points to herself, Weathers, and Catherine. Your body's safe.
Okay. I can
whatever's going on outside this star that appeared.
It's a herald.
Well, it's a lot of buzz. People are going to be paying attention to it.
Go ahead. Okay, you sure?
You know what I mean?
Yep.
It's your chance.
Yep. Okay. Neil very clearly, like, he's not even trying to hide the fact that he looks wildly confused as to everything that's going on, does not understand where he is, how he got here, how he even found Weathers and Amara, or how they found him. Like, at least to Amara, would be wildly obvious that Neil is deeply confused. But he doesn't want to say it out loud, at least not in front of the person he doesn't know, so he just nods. Okay, I can do that for you. I can, yes.
I see what's going on here. Catherine speaks up. I am Catherine, a longtime friend and ally of Jubair, an associate of yours.
Oh, you knew Jubair?
Yes.
Okay. Is it a positive association? Like,
it was.
Okay, good. That's
due to the tragic events that happened to Mr. Jubair. Yeah. I have seen to his possessions.
Oh.
Kabir has contacted me looking for Jubair's possessions.
Why? Looks over kind of suspiciously at Kabir's staked body.
Amara speaks up. Well, that's where I come in. I need a tome that was possessed by Jubair. The buyer, a William Biltmore, wants it and is willing to pay a lot and help the movement in exchange for it.
Okay. So
Kabir is helping. He's just out of commission right now because there's something happening to him.
It's been a tough week.
He attempted to leave a few times after telling us that under no circumstances should we allow him to do so.
Okay.
Weathers has simply made sure that Kabir has the support that he asked for.
Okay.
So everything here is safe.
All right.
We just need you to do your part, and we can get out of here.
Do we have a starting spot?
Grand Central Station.
Okay. No time like the present then, huh?
She gives you like this grim but affirmative nod.
Okay. Yeah, okay.
Okay. What do you need to get started?
Just some fresh air for a second, and then, can we, and he just like nods out towards the balcony, like, hey, maybe we could talk behind this closed door, not in front of the lady. Easily could just
She smiles and nods, and she will walk with you out to the balcony and close the glass, like sliding door behind
literally
her.
The second the door is closed. I don't remember getting here. I don't remember coming here. What the hell is going on? Is everyone safe? Is Miles safe? Or is Britta safe? How are Johnny and Whit? What is going on?
I'm sure they're just fine.
He didn't follow me, did he?
Who is he?
The guy that ate you by ear. Last I remember, I was running away from him in a hotel with Britta and Roman Pendragon, so I don't know where the fuck I am.
At the mention of Roman Pendragon.
I don't remember how I got here. I don't know what's going on.
Okay. I'm going to be honest with you. If you are not completely together and on point here, we are going to lose people.
Wildly the opposite of comforting to Neil.
She kind of shakes her head like, I'm not here to comfort you right now. Right now, nothing matters but the job. Can you do that? You were gung-ho before.
I was? Okay. Yes, I can do that.
Okay. You go in, you get the information. We trade that information to Catherine. Catherine gives the tome. We head out, and we have the information too. We need it too.
Okay. All right.
You said tonight was the night to do it.
Did I use the word auspicious?
No. She shakes her head.
All right, well, if I'm going to do this, I'm going to do this. Let's just make sure it is the auspicious night, shall we?
Neil, you're not doing this because of it's lucky.
That's not what I mean.
You're doing this.
Fate is not a...
Because you're good at it.
This is me trying to be good. Okay, I got it. Let me just...
Tell me you're competent.
Did you say confident?
Competent.
Yes, I'm competent.
Do you mean it when you say it?
You asked what I needed. I need a minute alone out here, and then I'm going to come inside, and I need a place to lay down.
Right now, I need my question answered. Do you believe you can do this?
I have to. right?
She nods.
So I guess there you go.
All right. Take your time. She heads inside.
Neil will lean against like the balcony railing and look up at the stars. Instead of enacting any form of will immediately, we'll just take a huge kind of shuddering but steadying breath in and let the cold night air hit him to try and center himself. And then he will ask the question he may have already answered and forgotten about to the sky and see if this is an auspicious night to discover information about the Sabbat.
Okay, go for it.
2 successes.
It is indeed auspicious.
He'll look back down and he'll look at the street and look at everybody sort of looking up. Presumably from this height, like there's roof access and stuff in a lot of places in New York. Presumably looking down, there's like a lot of people up on roofs just looking and staring. And no time like the present, even if I don't know why I'm doing this. And he turns around and we'll go back inside. Do you, I don't really know New York very well. Do you have like a map? Just like a street map? Where's Grand Central from here? I don't know anyone there, and I don't know the place.
Weather size. Come here. And he points out, you headed 2 blocks that way.
Oh, is that it? Okay, that's good enough.
That's it.
All right. Usually I go to a person or like a thing or a place that I know, so I got it. Is there a place I can like lay down or sit down or?
Just couch inside.
Okay. Thank you. I'm stalling. And then he just goes in and lays down on the couch.
Weather's just kind of nuts.
He's familiar with Neil's work.
Lex, I'm going to lay down on the couch, kind of close my eyes, and then nervously, reflexively open them once again to just look at everybody in the room, and then close them, like make myself close my eyes again, and then I'm going to attempt to project my psychic self out into the city.
Let's do it.
5 successes.
With 5 successes, you project into the astral realm with, I believe, the full suite of your mental abilities.
Mm-hmm.
The red star shines even brighter here.
Neil, because he doesn't know the place well, he has to follow Weathers' instructions, so he can't just sort of manifest his consciousness there. If anyone can see into the astral, Neil's like psychic form, which does not quite look like him, sits up from his now totally unconscious body, steps into the room, and then floats out through the glass and out the window. He will not be... He's a student of the stars, so he cannot quite help but to look up at the red star, and then will kind of shudder and pull his gaze away from it and start immaterially floating down, following Weather's directions, kind of looking out for Grand Central. He doesn't really know what he's looking for. He doesn't spend a lot of time in New York City, but it's Grand Central, so it can't be that hard to find.
You travel, and here the city is alive with activity, and you feel something deep within the earth below you. It gives the sensation of an outstretched hand, but something you don't want touching you. And eventually you find a building that is just surrounded and subsumed with a throng of masses. A gorgeous building with a clock on its front. Beneath it, it reads Grand Central Terminal. And over the clock is a statue of Mercury. You quickly realize that you have made it to your destination. You head into the terminal, and there, as all these spaces and corners and hallways and areas that the populace sort of overlooks while on their way to wherever they're headed. It's dirty, and even in your astral form, there's this pervasive scent that you can't ignore. And you start looking for signs of the Sabbat. The easy signs are readily apparent. You see the purple graffiti, the onks, the little signs, the signs that Johnny would point out to you, signs that Johnny has pointed out to you. And then there's someone you find and catches your eye. It's gorgeous. A real cute girl with a white fur coat, like those all-white go-go boots that were popular right around your time. And she grins at people, jokes at people, makes a lot of what the Sabbat would call juice bags walking around smile back at her. And there's fangs in her mouth when she smiles at them. And they think nothing of it. New York's a weird place. And she seems to revel in how obvious she gets to be without them noticing the danger that they're in. She takes pictures with people, kind of enjoys all of the attention she gets, and there's something about her that scratches at a distant memory. You were in torpor at the time. Rashid had a bit of a run-in with Johnny not too long ago. And when she gets bored, she gives an extra wink to some young tough in a hoodie and headphones, and with just a couple of words convinces him to come along with her. And she leads him deeper into Grand Central.
Heading into the train tunnels?
Into maintenance areas.
Okay. Having found a member of the Sabbat, a lot of people in sort of astral forms or projecting their consciousness would just sort of float around content knowing that they are invisible to the naked eye. No one can see them. Neil is a Malkavian. He is paranoid. He is extraordinarily cautious, and so will obfuscate himself even while in this other plane of existence. And instead of just floating through the air, he doesn't really touch down on the ground because he's astral, but will start using quiet little steps, hiding and peeking behind, going through the steps of mundane stealth while obfuscated, while psychically projecting, because he is so... if he could see himself, why could not someone else? And that little tug from deep beneath the earth, that outstretched hand, is still unnerving him.
Roll stealth.
Can I apply my lurking spec?
Yes, you can.
Forgot about that.
And I use my wits in place of dexterity, right? Because I am an astral.
Indeed.
5 successes. I blew 2 10s on that lurking spec.
You hope that's enough as you tail the Toreador Antitribu into this space that probably goes ignored by the mortal masses. And as you get deeper in, you can hear the thrum of bass. There is music playing, loud, obnoxious, and irreverent. And as you enter, the first thing you see are what appears to be triplets, bald-headed, bland faces, all 3 of them wearing goggles and trench coats. And the trio stands watching this large gated doorway. And as the Toreador Antitribu approaches them, she kind of jumps up to high-five one of them. And with kind of this blank Goomba-like stare, he high-fives her back. They open the way, she leads the guy, and the guy is so lost to how horny he is and the chance to get laid that he doesn't really notice these 3 6.5 foot tall weirdos watching the entrance. The walls are covered in graffiti. The graffiti you see is like Bible stories, but not a human Bible.
I've been spending some time reading fragments of the Book of Nod. Is it that kind of Bible?
Well, you do see something of a Christ figure, raising a stone up high to the heavens as he holds a man who looks just like him down on the ground. You hear a crowd call, "Praise Cain," and she pumps her fists in the air and is met by a crew of girls who look a lot like her. They're dressed in similar fashions, tons of makeup, bright colors. Beyond them, it's just a sea of black in terms of the attire of the gathered Cainites. But they seem to have fun with it all. And the girls kind of join in on the fun, each taking turns seducing this poor lost young man to the point where he doesn't know up from down and is lost to his attraction. They guide him further in, and there's a woman seated, bent over on her elbows, kind of on like a table that's set up, and her back is exposed. And there's someone sitting behind her, fiddling with her spine. You see her back is exposed in that her skin and muscle has been peeled away to reveal her spine and the backs of her ribs and her shoulder plates. And they are inserting piercings into her shoulder blades and connecting them with thin silver chains. The young man looks at this and gives an and is tugged along before his brain can really process what he just saw. And they lead him to a room that looks like kind of like a big group shower room, except there are no showers running, and instead, hanging from the ceiling are hooks. And on some of these hooks, there are people kept alive, groaning in pain and laughing. These girls dogpile the young man like piranha. And after they subdue him, which is mere moments, they quickly hoist him up and plant him onto the edge of a hook. And finally, in that moment, his mind and body have had enough time to react and scream. And they shush him and giggle, and they start to kind of kiss him, fondle him, and kind of take pleasure in his helplessness. One of them says something about the blood feast.
Neil has seen a little bit of the savagery of the Sabbat in the last few nights, at least the last few nights according to his memory. He's not a brave man, but he thought he saw in like the horror and terror at the gala, but that was running and fighting, and this is just sitting and being witness to cruelty and brutality. Even someone like his sire, who devours the souls of other kindred and is brutal and terrifying in his own right, doesn't seem to take pleasure like this in the pain of others. And there is a moment where he forgets to hide, forgets to like follow and look around, and just watches in terror. And I don't think it's probably until someone like physically walks through him that it pulls him out of that just terror burgeoning on panic. There's a moment when all he wants to do is scream or kill this man before he can continue to suffer, and realizes he can't, not without causing suffering himself, not without giving himself away. And he'll start to look, not even muttering under his breath, but muttering in his mind the things that he needs to find to help protect people so that all of this around him doesn't come to New Haven.
Path of Night is a Vampire the Masquerade podcast set in the world of darkness. Britta Ashcroft the Toreador was played by Rebecca Steigelfest. Johnny Saxon the Bruja was played by Garrett Gabbey. Miles Davenport the Venture was played by Tim Davis. Neil Foster the Malkavian was played by Rob Muirhead. Wynn Cabot the Gangrel was played by Erika Webb. Your storyteller was Lex Lopez. Recording by Rebecca Steigelfest. This episode edited by Rob Muirhead. The music used in this episode was composed for Path of Night by Brian Matolius. Find him online at brianmatolius.com. Path of Night uses the 20th anniversary edition of Vampire the Masquerade with a few limited house rules. Vampire the Masquerade and the World of Darkness are owned by Paradox Interactive. Make sure to subscribe to us on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you get your podcasts. We can be found on YouTube at youtube.com/@pathofnight. You can help support the show on coffee.com/pathofnight. Find us on twitter.com/pathofnightpod, on facebook.com/pathofnightpodcasts, or email us at pathofnightpodcasts@gmail.com. See you next time, kindred.
And you recognize her.
I was staked in the back of a car when we saw Candy. I never saw her.
You don't recognize her.
I was going to say, he did get her in the back of the car, but I don't think he's aware of it.
No, I was staked.
We're staked.
In the, yeah.
But wasn't she like next to you at one point?
Were your eyes open when you were staked?
Were you actually staked?
No, I wasn't even staked. I was unconscious.
You were torpid.
I was torpid from
Acid
poison.
Okay, yeah, because if you're staked, you still see her.
No, acid venom torpid me.
Yeah, quietest.